Matthew here from miniwargaming.com. Over the past few years, we've been bringing a lot of different videos for 40K, for Warhammer Fantasy, for War Machine and Hordes. And recently, over the past few months, we've come out with a few videos to teach you how to play some of these different games, such as Fantasy, War Machine, even things like Firestorm Armada and Heavy Gear Blitz. When we released those videos, we got a lot of people commenting that said they would like the same thing done for Warhammer 40K. And the reason we hadn't done that is because so many people already know what 40K is that we figured that it was well known enough. But the more and more of these comments that we got, the more we realized that it does actually need its own introduction as well. Because it's so popular, a lot of people are coming on and they need to learn more about Warhammer 40K. So if you're new to Warhammer 40K, or you play War Machine or something else and you've always been interested in it but never quite known what to do to get into it, this video is for you. If you're already a well-established Warhammer 40K player, this is going to be very basic, so you might want to go and watch some other videos instead. We're also producing some other videos called the 40K History series, and you can watch those. I'm going to put a link below this video, and we've already produced about a half a dozen of them of the various races. So this video and this video series is not going to so much be about the background of all of the different races as it is more the background on the game, what you need to play, and how to play it. So this first video is the introduction. We're going to show you a couple iconic races in the Warhammer 40K universe. And then I'm going to show you a basic overview of the different units. And then on another video, we'll show you the different turn overviews of the movement, the shooting, the assault, and some special rules as well. For those of you who are new to miniature wargaming altogether, Warhammer 40K, just like Warhammer Fantasy, War Machine, Flames of War, and pretty much every other miniature wargame, is played with miniatures. In front of you here are two of the iconic armies of the Warhammer 40K universe. On your right, we first have the Noble Space Marines. This is the main faction in all of the Warhammer 40K universe. In fact, there are several rule books out that allow you to play different factions amongst them, including Space Wolves, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, and a whole bunch of others. The ones you see in front of you are just regular Space Marines. These are probably the four main things that you'll see in a Space Marine army. Right here we have a group of tactical Space Marines. This is your main troop choice in most of the different chapters. And they're all armed with bolters, which are equivalent to pretty much portable machine guns. This one has a rocket launcher, and this one has a flamethrower. And this one, who is the leader, is armed with a chainsword, which is basically a chainsaw that they can use to cut through enemies, and a regular pistol. These form the mainstay of most of the Space Marine chapters, as they are called. Backing them up is a group of Terminators. These are basically your heavier infantry. They're harder to hurt and they have much better weapons. But they're also more elite, which means you don't have as many of them in your force. Right over here we have the Dreadnought. The Dreadnought is basically, in the 40K universe, is a Space Marine who has fallen and his body's been broken, and so they take it and they put it inside of this so he can continue to fight. The Terminator armor is actually a tactical form of the Dreadnought armor, so it's a more portable version of it. And obviously the people inside of it are not permanently there. They only suit up for their missions. And over here we have a large tank. It's called a Land Raider. And this can actually transport Terminators and Space Marines into battle. At the same time, it wields some heavy weaponry. And there's a few different variants of this. Some of them are better at taking down infantry. Some of them are better at taking down heavier troops. There are a lot of other things in the Space Marine Army, but these are some of the main ones, and they're the ones that we will be using for our demonstration today. On your left, you have the alien species known as the Tyranids, whose only goal is to consume all of life in all the galaxy and every other galaxy that they can come across. So this is the menacing force that is attacking the Space Marines. There are other evil races that threaten the Space Marines as well, but the Tyranids are my personal favorite, so they're the ones I'm going to use in this demonstration. The great thing about the Tyranids is that they're a large swarm army, so you get a lot of models on the table, whereas the Space Marines are more an elite army, so there are less models. I enjoy having a larger number of models on the table because it's just a lot of fun, whereas other people enjoy having fewer models that are more elite and can pack a heavier punch. The Tyranids range from the tiny Ripper swarms all the way up to the mighty Trigons. This is probably one of the larger creatures available in normal Warhammer 40K. Their main forces consist of what are called gaunts. There are termagants, which all have guns that they can fire, and there are hormagaunts, which are more close combat creatures. They have extra scything talons that they use to get extra attacks and do more damage in close combat. They're backed up by leader creatures, such as these Tyranid warriors, or the larger hive tyrants. all the smaller creatures need to stay within a certain range of the leader creatures in order to be controlled properly. Otherwise, you can lose control of them and you aren't able to decide necessarily what they do in the game. Before you can play your first game of Warhammer 40k, there are a few things that you need to purchase. First off, you need the main Warhammer 40k rulebook. Currently, we're in 5th edition at the time of me making this video. And this is a large hardcover book. It contains all the rules, which are probably about 100 pages in there. And then it also contains a lot about the armies and what people call their fluff, or in other words, the storylines that back up all the characters in all of the different armies. There's even some tutorials in here on how to paint your models and even how to make terrain, and there's some various scenarios as well that you can use to play. Along with the main rule book, you also need the codex for your individual army. This is the Tyranids Codex. So this contains the rules for the specific units in my army. So you need both the rule book, which has all the main rules, and your codex, which has all your army-specific rules in order to play. Another very cost-effective way to get into Warhammer 40k, if you don't want to spend the money on the hardcover rulebook, is to get this. This is the Assault on Blackreach starter set. This basically has 2 armies, the Space Marines on one side and the Space Orcs on the other. And it contains 2 armies that are ready to play. They're not quite as large enough to be in tournaments, but that is enough to get you started. And it also contains a softcover rulebook. It doesn't have all the extra stuff like the fluff on the armies or the different tutorials, but it has all the rules. It has everything you need in order to play. This even comes with the templates and the dice, which I will show you in a second, that you need. So this is an incredibly good value if you're getting started, especially if you go in with a friend and he gets the Space Orcs and you get the Space Marines, or vice versa. You will also need a large number of dice. You'll need 6-sided dice, or D6s as they are called. And so you probably want 20, 30, maybe even 40 of these. Depends which army you're playing. As a Tyranid, sometimes I need 50 of them all at once. Dice are used to determine the outcomes of the various actions. For example, if you decide that you want to shoot at somebody, you have to roll first to see if you hit them. And after you roll to see if you hit them, you then roll to see if you hurt them. And then after you roll to see if you hurt them, they might be able to roll to see if they can negate the fact that you hurt them because of their armor. And all the numbers that you need to roll are included in the rule book and in the codexes. You're also going to need these. These are Warhammer 40k templates. These are the official ones that Games Workshop creates. There's a small blast template and a large blast template. These are used for weapons that explode. So a regular gun will just inflict a hit, whereas this, you shoot, you put it over top of the things that you're shooting at, and everything underneath it gets hit. So a rocket, for example, would use this, whereas a larger tank explosion might use something like this. There's also the flame template, which is used in flamer weapons, or flamethrowers, which you're going to see in a demonstration that we're going to do in the How to Play Warhammer 40k video, which will come next. Lastly, you're going to need a measuring tape. Because it's not played on a board, you're going to use a measuring tape to determine how far you need to move, and things like distance to shoot and ranges to assault in close combat and everything else that needs measuring. So instead of going on a grid, you don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You say, okay, he moves 6 inches, so you measure it and you move your 6 inches. We'll show that once again in the How to Play Warhammer 40k videos, which will come next. Finally, you're going to need somewhere to play your game of Warhammer 40k. This can be as simple as your kitchen table with things like books for terrain, to something as complex as what you see here. This is a board that we actually made here at the Mini Wargaming Club. This was actually made by Fireman Tim. He's made a lot of terrain that's here. And this board actually has built-in craters, and it has a built-in road, and it even uses what's called static grass to give a nice textured grass field. And we use playground sand to get the dirt, and then we just paint over it. Along with the table, you're going to need terrain. This terrain will demonstrate what gives cover, in other words, what can stop things from shooting at you, and also can slow down models. For example, these craters would be designated as difficult terrain, so things would sometimes move slower across them. There's terrain such as these bastions, which you can purchase from Games Workshop and then assemble and paint yourself, or you can make your own terrain out of usually styrofoam or foam board. These are actually made out of styrofoam and then melted. So they were cut out of polystyrene, the blue and pink styrofoam that you normally see, not the white styrofoam, and then the holes were burnt into them with a soldering gun. You also need terrain such as these trees, which you can either purchase or create. There's many tutorials online, both at the miniwargaming.com website and many other websites as well. So this is pretty much the most fun way to play Warhammer 40K. It's on a board, which is typically 4 feet by 6 feet. If you're just playing a smaller game, you could do 4 feet by 4 feet, or really any size that you want. But the standard game will be a couple thousand points and will be played on a 4 foot by 6 foot table like this that you see. That is all we're going to cover in this introductory video to Warhammer 40K by Games Workshop. In the next video, I'm going to show you a demonstration on how to play. We're going to keep it simple so that you can learn the basic structure of the rules rather than using the video in order to not need to get the rule book, because there's too many rules to go over in just 1 or 2 videos. But I want to show you how it works, how it feels, so you can see just how fun this game is. The game is really well done for fast-paced action. It allows you to bring a lot of miniatures on the table, the games look fantastic, and they're a lot of fun to play too. This is Matthew from Mini Wargaming. I'll see you in the next video.
Visit miniwargaming.com to see our videos 1 month early!